Welcome to the pink side. Her MOM think I am girl. I never thought a casual favor for MIA would lead to this. My name is Armin, a 24-year-old graphic designer, normally living a quiet, structured life. My world revolved around deadlines, client revisions, and coffee-stained sketches. By day, I'm the typical guy, reserved, careful, a little awkward, but by night, I explore a side of myself that I rarely admit even to my closest friends. Crossdressing had always been my private escape, a thrilling secret that allowed me to step into a persona completely different from the one everyone expects. It all started with MIA, my girlfriend. She had always been bold, adventurous, and unafraid of testing boundaries. Our relationship thrived on honesty and little adventures, but nothing had prepared me for the evening when her mother, Mrs. Callahan, unexpectedly entered our lives in a way I could never have anticipated. I was sitting in MIA's living room, casually flipping through her wardrobe, helping her pick outfits for a photo shoot she was planning. MIA had been teasing me for weeks about trying on one of her dresses, just to see what I'd look like. I laughed at first, dismissing it as a silly joke. But curiosity gnawed at me. I had experimented before in private, slipping into tights or a blouse when no one was around, but never fully committed to a complete transformation. Tonight, with MIA encouraging me, I felt a flutter of excitement and nervousness. MIA handed me a soft, pink blouse and a knee-length skirt. "You'll look adorable," she said, her eyes twinkling with mischief. My hands trembled slightly as I took the clothes, feeling the silky fabric against my fingertips. The thrill of trying something forbidden, the sense of stepping into someone else's world, was intoxicating. I took a deep breath, reminding myself this was just a fun experiment, nothing more. The transformation began slowly. I slipped out of my shirt and into the blouse, feeling the material cling to my skin in a way that was both thrilling and slightly awkward. I carefully pulled on the skirt, smoothing it down over my legs. MIA's mother had called earlier saying she'd be stopping by, but I didn't expect her to arrive while I was mid-transformation. My heart raced, and my palms became sweaty. The familiar fear of being discovered clashed with a growing exhilaration. "Look at you," MIA exclaimed as I twirled in front of the mirror. "You're actually perfect. I think you might like this." My cheeks flushed as I studied my reflection. The blouse highlighted my shoulders differently than I'd imagined. The skirt gave my legs a strange elegance, and with my hair carefully brushed and makeup subtly applied, I barely recognized the person staring back. It wasn't just a costume. It felt like a new identity, one that stirred something deep inside me. Then the doorbell rang. My heart nearly stopped. MIA's mother, Mrs. Callahan, had arrived earlier than expected. MIA glanced at me, her lips curling into a teasing smirk. "Go on, let's see how convincing you are." I opened the door, and there she stood, a tall woman with sharp eyes and an air of quiet authority. Her gaze swept over me slowly, appraising, curious, and for a heartbeat, I froze. Every instinct screamed at me: panic, retreat, hide. Yet I held my posture, gave a small, polite smile, and quietly said, "Hello, Mrs. Callahan." Her expression softened. "Well, hello there," she said warmly, her tone friendly, but with an undertone of surprise. "MIA didn't tell me you'd be looking so lovely tonight." I felt a shiver of both fear and thrill. She didn't seem shocked or judgmental. Instead, she sounded genuinely pleased. MIA giggled, whispering in my ear, "See? I told you she's amazing at this." My heart pounded. The validation from someone I barely knew, especially in such a vulnerable state, sent a mix of panic and excitement through me. I felt exposed yet strangely empowered. Mrs. Callahan's presence changed the mood in the room. Instead of a casual evening of playful experimentation, it had become a tense, delicate dance. She sat down, making small talk, complimenting my outfit, my posture, and even my subtle makeup. Each word made me more aware of the precarious balance I was maintaining. One wrong word, one awkward movement, and my secret could unravel. Yet, beneath the anxiety, a thrill lingered. I realized this might be more than just a casual experiment. MIA's mother had unknowingly become part of my secret world, someone who saw this side of me and, strangely, seemed to accept it. The idea that she might encourage me to continue, perhaps even stay in this persona, was exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. As the evening continued, I navigated conversations, gestures, and small adjustments to my outfit, careful to maintain composure. The thrill of being fully seen, yet not judged, ignited a confidence I hadn't felt before. My pulse raced, my mind was alert, and every interaction became a delicate performance. By the time the evening ended, I knew my life had shifted. The playful experiment with MIA had unexpectedly dragged me into a suspenseful situation, one where I was seen, my secret acknowledged, and now, perhaps, encouraged by someone I had never imagined would care about this side of me. My heart raced with anticipation, excitement, and a lingering fear. What would happen next? Could I maintain this persona? Would Mrs. Callahan's acceptance be genuine, or was this just the calm before a storm? The night ended with me standing in the mirror one last time, dressed and transformed, my reflection revealing a version of myself I had never fully embraced. The thrill of crossdressing, the fear of exposure, and the excitement of being admired had intertwined into a cocktail of emotions I was only beginning to understand. And as I caught a glimpse of MIA and her mother laughing quietly in the background, I knew one thing for certain. My life, my identity, and my secrets were about to become far more complicated and far more thrilling than I had ever imagined. The morning after that fateful evening, I woke up with a mix of excitement and dread tangled in my chest. MIA was already in the kitchen, humming softly as she brewed coffee. Her mother had left late last night, and yet her presence lingered in my mind like a shadow, teasing me with both validation and anxiety. The idea that she thought I was genuinely a girl and perhaps wanted me to stay that way was almost surreal. My cheeks flushed at the memory, and I felt a strange, unfamiliar thrill coursing through me. MIA looked up from her mug and smiled, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "Sleep well, princess," she teased, using the nickname she had started calling me ever since that night. My stomach tightened. The nickname was playful, but it carried weight, a reminder of the persona I had stepped into and the precarious position I now occupied. I guess, I muttered, still adjusting to the strange duality of my life. By day, I was Armin, quiet and careful. By night, I had become someone else entirely, confident, glamorous, and under the watchful eyes of people who had no idea of my true identity. The excitement of stepping into that world was intoxicating, but the fear of being caught, or overstepping boundaries, was always there, lurking beneath the surface. MIA leaned closer, her voice soft but insistent. "You know, my mom really liked you. She didn't just say it. She seemed impressed. She thinks you're a girl now." My heart raced. The words hung in the air like a delicate, dangerous secret. "Impressed?" I echoed, trying to sound casual, but my voice betrayed a flicker of panic. "Yes," she said, sipping her coffee. "And I think, well, maybe she wants you to stay this way. At least when she visits. She loved seeing you like that." My chest tightened. I had been nervous about MIA's mother, terrified of her judgment, yet here she was, not only accepting but encouraging this transformation. The thrill of her approval mixed with a creeping unease. Could I maintain this persona without losing control of my real self? The day progressed in a haze of nervous energy. MIA had a few errands to run, leaving me alone to prepare myself for the next visit from her mother. I paced the living room, debating whether to wear the same outfit from last night or try something new. The excitement of dressing up, applying makeup, and walking in heels filled me with anticipation, yet each decision carried the weight of potential exposure. Finally, I chose a soft lavender dress that MIA had suggested. The fabric was delicate, flowing, and comforting against my skin. Slipping it on, I felt the thrill of transformation wash over me. My reflection in the mirror startled me. I barely recognized myself. The high heels made each step feel deliberate and powerful, yet fragile at the same time. I adjusted my wig, carefully brushing it until every strand fell perfectly. The final touch was a subtle layer of makeup, enhancing my features without making me look overly artificial. As I practiced walking, sitting, and gesturing, I became acutely aware of the vulnerability of my position. Every movement, every glance in the mirror, every sound from outside reminded me that I was playing a dangerous game. MIA's mother could arrive at any moment, and I needed to be perfect, poised, confident, and convincingly feminine. The thrill of the challenge mingled with anxiety, creating a heady cocktail of emotions I hadn't felt before. When the doorbell rang, my heart leapt. MIA's mother had arrived earlier than expected. I took a deep breath, smoothing the dress one last time, and opened the door. Her eyes immediately swept over me, appraising, curious, and for a moment, I felt exposed like never before. Then, she smiled warmly. "Well, hello there," she said. "You look lovely." The words sent a shiver down my spine. It wasn't just polite, it was sincere, almost approving. Throughout the visit, I navigated conversations, gestures, and subtle interactions with extreme care. Every compliment, every glance from Mrs. Callahan heightened both my excitement and my anxiety. She was unaware of my true identity, and I had to maintain the illusion perfectly. Each word I spoke, each laugh I forced, each movement I made became a test of composure. As the afternoon wore on, MIA's mother suggested showing me a few old family photo albums. I hesitated. Images of past family members, all distinctly female, staring back at me made my pulse race. What if she compared me? What if she saw through my facade? My hands trembled slightly as I turned the pages, my nerves on edge. Yet, with each compliment she offered about my appearance and grace, I felt a growing confidence mingled with fear. By the time she left, I was drained yet exhilarated. The approval I had craved, validation from someone I hadn't expected, was intoxicating. I had survived the encounter, maintained composure, and explored the thrill of living fully in this secret persona. Yet I knew the challenge wasn't over. The stakes had just risen. MIA's mother had seen me, accepted me, and perhaps even wanted me to continue this role. The responsibility and suspense of maintaining this double life weighed heavily on me, but the exhilaration of being admired and desired as this persona was undeniable. As I stood in front of the mirror that evening, adjusting my hair and makeup one last time, I realized the truth. This was no longer just a playful experiment. The thrill of crossdressing, the fear of exposure, and the excitement of being fully seen had intertwined into a reality I couldn't ignore. And as MIA returned home, laughing and teasing, I knew my secret life had entered a new, dangerous, and thrilling chapter. The next few days were a whirlwind of anticipation and nerves. MIA seemed more playful than usual, constantly reminding me to practice my persona. Every glance in the mirror, every flick of a wig, every step in heels became a small ritual, a test of composure, confidence, and subtle femininity. I found myself both thrilled and terrified by how natural the persona was becoming. I started experimenting with different outfits, textures, and colors. Each dress, each skirt brought a new sensation. Silk brushed softly against my skin, lace hugged my curves in ways that were unfamiliar yet intoxicating. The thrill wasn't just about appearances. It was the power of inhabiting a space where I could be fully seen, admired, and yet remain a secret. I felt an addictive mix of liberation and vulnerability coursing through me. But with the thrill came constant fear. Every knock on the door, every unexpected sound, made my heart race. I had to think like a performer, aware of every movement, every gesture, every word. MIA's mother had complimented me sincerely, and her approval carried weight. The thought that she might want me to continue this persona, even stay like this permanently during her visits, filled me with equal parts excitement and dread. What if I failed to maintain the illusion? What if she discovered the truth? One evening, MIA suggested a full rehearsal, makeup, outfit, and an entire routine of gestures, posture, and conversational cues. She wanted to make sure I could convincingly be a girl if her mother visited unexpectedly again. My pulse quickened at the thought, but I complied, slipping into a pastel dress that flowed effortlessly around my legs. High heels elevated my posture, and a carefully styled wig completed the look. As I examined myself in the mirror, I almost didn't recognize the person staring back. My hands shook slightly as I applied makeup, each stroke heightening the tension and anticipation in my chest. MIA observed critically, offering gentle corrections. Tilt your chin slightly, Armin. No, your smile. Softer, like you're shy but confident. Perfect. Now walk toward me. Each instruction sent a shiver through me, and I realized that the thrill of transformation was no longer just about appearances. It was about embodying confidence, poise, and grace under scrutiny, qualities I had never associated with myself before. The rehearsal was interrupted by a sudden knock on the door. My heart lurched. MIA glanced at me, raising her eyebrows in a silent warning. The timing was impeccable, yet terrifying. I smoothed the dress, adjusted my wig, and practiced my most natural smile before opening the door. It was only the mailman, dropping off a package, but the moment left me breathless. Every encounter now carried the potential for exposure. My nerves were fraying, yet the adrenaline was exhilarating. I realized that maintaining this persona was becoming an obsession, an addiction I couldn't resist despite the risk. Later that night, I found myself alone in the apartment, reflecting on the whirlwind of the past few days. My reflection in the mirror showed a poised, glamorous version of myself, but behind the eyes, the anxiety lingered. MIA's mother had seen me, approved me, and perhaps even encouraged me to continue this persona. The stakes were higher than ever. I had to maintain perfection, every interaction scrutinized, every gesture deliberate. The suspense escalated further when MIA mentioned that her mother might stop by unexpectedly the following day. Panic and thrill intertwined in my chest. I meticulously prepared, selecting a soft blue dress that highlighted my shoulders and legs. Heels clicked against the floor as I practiced walking, sitting, and gesturing. Makeup was applied with precision, emphasizing features without appearing exaggerated. When the doorbell rang the next afternoon, my heart hammered. I opened the door to find MIA's mother standing there, smiling warmly. She greeted me with a casual, yet approving tone. "Hello, dear. You look beautiful today." My pulse raced, and I struggled to suppress a smile that trembled with excitement and fear. Her approval was intoxicating, but the reality of being fully seen by someone who expected perfection kept me on edge. Throughout her visit, every compliment and subtle touch of approval heightened the suspense. I navigated conversations with extreme care, every laugh, nod, and gesture carefully calibrated. The thrill of being admired, combined with the fear of discovery, was overwhelming. By the time she left, I was both exhausted and exhilarated. I had survived again, maintained composure, and explored the addictive tension of living fully in this hidden persona. That evening, alone in front of the mirror, I felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Excitement, fear, vulnerability, and empowerment intertwined as I studied the reflection of the glamorous persona I had created. My pulse raced with anticipation for the next encounter, knowing that the stakes had risen. MIA's mother had seen me, approved me, and perhaps wanted me to stay this way. The thrill of transformation, the fear of exposure, and the desire for acceptance had fused into a reality I couldn't ignore. I realized I was no longer just experimenting. I was inhabiting a new identity, one that brought both liberation and suspense in equal measure. Every knock on the door, every compliment, every glance in the mirror reminded me that my secret was fragile, yet intoxicatingly real. And as I caught a glimpse of my own reflection, I knew the next steps would test my courage, composure, and ability to navigate this dual life even further. The day had started innocently enough. MIA had run out for errands, leaving me alone in the apartment, dressed in a soft rose dress that hugged my frame and heels that made my posture straight and deliberate. I had spent hours perfecting my look, adjusting makeup, and practicing my walk in front of the mirror. But deep down, I knew the stakes were higher than ever. MIA's mother had approved me once, and now, with the possibility of another unannounced visit, every second felt like a ticking clock. I was arranging a small vase on the coffee table when the unexpected knock came. My heart jumped into my throat. My fingers froze mid-motion, and my pulse thudded like a drum. MIA had warned me that her mother's timing could be unpredictable, but the anxiety of being fully exposed while alone was still paralyzing. Taking a deep breath, I smoothed the dress over my hips, adjusted my wig, and walked to the door with the practiced grace I had honed over days of preparation. I opened it to find Mrs. Callahan standing there, a knowing smile on her face. "Hello, dear," she said warmly, her gaze sweeping over me. "I thought I'd drop by." The words sent a shiver down my spine. She was here unexpectedly, and I was fully dressed in a persona that she believed to be genuine. The thrill of being admired collided violently with the fear of being discovered. My lips curved into a small, nervous smile. "Hi, Mrs. Callahan," I said, my voice softer than usual. Her eyes sparkled with approval. "You look absolutely lovely. I didn't know you'd put so much effort into your appearance." The compliment was genuine, yet the weight behind it was palpable. I could feel her scrutiny in every movement, every blink, every subtle gesture I made. My body was tense, my mind alert. Every step, every laugh, every tilt of my head became a deliberate act of performance. Throughout the visit, I navigated conversations with extreme caution. Mrs. Callahan shared stories from MIA's childhood, asked questions about hobbies, and made casual remarks that required immediate, thoughtful responses. I had to respond convincingly, embodying a persona I had only just begun to inhabit fully. Each compliment, each approving glance, sent a mix of adrenaline and excitement coursing through me. I felt a dangerous thrill in knowing I was fully seen, fully accepted, and yet precariously vulnerable. But the calm was short-lived. Halfway through the visit, there was another knock at the door. My heart skipped a beat. My mind raced. Who could it be? I glanced at MIA's mother, whose eyes flicked toward the door with mild curiosity. "Perhaps it's the delivery," she suggested casually. I nodded, trying to steady my trembling hands. Opening the door, I was confronted by the unexpected presence of MIA's cousin, someone I had never met before. She stepped inside with a cheerful smile, oblivious to the tension in the room. I froze. My composure wavered. My pulse raced. My legs trembled slightly under the weight of the heels, and I realized that maintaining the facade was suddenly far more complicated. MIA's mother introduced us, and I forced a smile, keeping my voice steady. "Hello, nice to meet you." Every word was an effort, each syllable carefully measured. The cousins' cheerful chatter filled the room, adding to the suspense and amplifying the pressure. My eyes darted toward the mirror, checking my reflection. The wig was in place, makeup intact, but my body felt like it was vibrating with nervous energy. One misstep, one wrong movement, and everything could unravel. As the conversation continued, small mishaps threatened to expose me. A slight stumble in the heels, a dropped cup, a mispronounced word. All moments of potential disaster that demanded immediate recovery. I navigated each with rapid thinking and practiced gestures, keeping my poise and confidence intact. The thrill of successfully avoiding disaster was intoxicating, yet exhausting. Then came the pivotal moment, a candid comment from Mrs. Callahan. "You really fit in so well. I almost forget you're not my daughter." The words hit me like a jolt of electricity. Part of me wanted to laugh, part of me wanted to run, and part of me thrilled at the possibility. Her acceptance was genuine, yet the statement carried a subtle, unspoken expectation. Stay this way, embrace this persona, continue the illusion. I forced a calm smile, trying to mask the whirlwind of emotions inside me. My mind raced with thoughts of what this meant. Was she truly accepting me, or testing me? Could I continue this performance without losing myself? The stakes were higher than ever. The exhilaration of being admired, accepted, and fully seen collided violently with the fear of losing control and being discovered. As the afternoon progressed, another challenge emerged. MIA's mother suggested a walk to the nearby park, insisting it would be nice to enjoy the weather. My heart sank. Being seen in public as this persona, fully exposed to strangers, was far riskier. I hesitated, feeling the anxiety surge through my chest, but the warmth in her eyes and the subtle encouragement from MIA's voice guided me. I took a deep breath, steadied myself, and stepped out into the sunlight. Every passerby, every glance, every whisper became a potential hazard. My mind raced with strategies to maintain composure, posture, and grace under observation. Yet, with each step, I felt a strange liberation. The thrill of embodying this persona in public, combined with the suspense of potential exposure, created a heady mix of excitement and fear. By the time we returned, I was both exhilarated and drained. I had navigated unexpected visitors, maintained a flawless facade, and survived public exposure. Yet, I knew the climax of the suspense had not passed. The approval from Mrs. Callahan, the pressure of public scrutiny, and the addictive thrill of living in this hidden identity had escalated the tension to its peak. Alone later that evening, I examined myself in the mirror. The reflection showed someone poised, glamorous, and confident, but behind the eyes, the vulnerability and anxiety remained. I had survived the first real tests of this persona, but the stakes had only grown higher. The thrill of crossdressing, the danger of exposure, and the intoxicating allure of approval from someone so significant had intertwined into a reality I could no longer ignore. I realized one truth with chilling clarity. The challenges were far from over. MIA's mother had seen me, accepted me, and perhaps expected more. Every interaction, every step, every decision from now on carried weight. And as I stood there, balancing heels on the floor, smoothing my dress and brushing my wig, I knew the next encounter would push me to the edge, forcing me to confront fear, desire, and the precarious line between reality and persona. The next morning, a heavy tension settled over the apartment. I was still recovering from the adrenaline of yesterday's encounters. My heels felt heavier, my dress tighter, and every glance in the mirror reminded me of how fragile my persona was. MIA had gone out for errands again, leaving me alone to prepare for another unexpected visit from her mother. I meticulously arranged my outfit, a soft ivory dress that clung perfectly to my figure, and checked my wig and makeup repeatedly. My pulse raced as I imagined every possible scenario. What if someone knocked at the door? What if I stumbled in public again? What if Mrs. Callahan suddenly realized the truth? The thrill of the transformation was intoxicating, but the stakes had never felt higher. When the knock finally came, my heart jumped into my throat. It was her. Mrs. Callahan's warm smile masked nothing of her sharp, perceptive eyes. "Good morning, dear," she said. "I thought I'd check in on you." Every word was a delicate test. I forced a calm, practiced smile, smoothing the dress with trembling hands. Throughout her visit, she began to probe gently. Questions about my hobbies, my plans, and even my feelings were framed as casual conversation. Yet, beneath the words, I could sense a subtle scrutiny, an evaluation. Could I maintain this persona flawlessly? Could I respond naturally without giving away my secret? Each word required careful thought, each gesture measured and deliberate. The tension reached a boiling point when Mrs. Callahan suggested something I hadn't anticipated. "Why don't we try a little photo shoot?" she proposed, her tone warm but insistent. "I think you'd make a perfect model." My chest tightened. The idea of being photographed in my full persona, with MIA's mother observing, pushed me to the edge of exhilaration and panic. I hesitated, trying to calm the storm of emotions inside me. But the thrill was too strong to resist. I agreed, stepping in front of the camera with a mixture of confidence and vulnerability. Each click of the shutter was a test, a moment where exposure felt imminent. I posed, adjusted, and responded to her guidance, feeling both empowered and terrified. The mirror and camera reflected a version of me I barely recognized, graceful, feminine, confident. Yet inside, my heart raced with the fear of being discovered. Suddenly, a phone rang. My pulse jumped as I fumbled for it. MIA's cousin was calling, an unexpected interruption that threatened to unravel everything. I took a deep breath, answered with a calm, feminine tone, and managed to navigate the conversation without breaking character. Each second was a high-wire act of poise, composure, and improvisation. The exhilaration of successfully maintaining the facade was nearly overwhelming. But the ultimate test came when Mrs. Callahan suggested a walk outside to show off my modeling skills in natural light. My heart raced. Public exposure, unexpected scrutiny from neighbors or passers-by, and the possibility of being caught off guard made every step a calculated risk. Yet, the thrill of walking confidently in heels, feeling the soft fabric of the dress against my skin, and being fully observed was intoxicating. As we strolled through the neighborhood, every glance from strangers became a potential hazard. I practiced my posture, smile, and gait with meticulous care. The adrenaline surged with each step, blending fear and excitement into a heady mix that left me both exhausted and exhilarated. Mrs. Callahan's approving comments and subtle encouragement made the experience surreal. She wasn't just accepting me, she seemed to expect me to embrace this persona fully. Returning home, the tension didn't abate. I was drained from the emotional roller coaster, yet exhilarated by having survived the ultimate test. Alone for a brief moment, I examined myself in the mirror. The reflection was flawless, poised, confident, and undeniably feminine. Yet behind the eyes, the vulnerability remained. A reminder that my secret could unravel at any moment. Just as I began to relax, the phone rang again. MIA was calling, but her tone was sharp, urgent. "Mom's asking for you," she said. My pulse spiked. Another challenge, another test. Could I navigate this next encounter without slipping? Could I maintain the persona that had become both a thrill and a trap? When Mrs. Callahan entered the room, her eyes glimmered with expectation. "I think you should stay like this for a while," she said softly, almost conspiratorially. "You suit it more than you realize." My heart raced. The subtle suggestion carried immense weight. It wasn't just admiration, it was an invitation, a challenge, and perhaps even a command. I nodded, carefully, feeling the thrill and fear intertwine. Could I truly embrace this life? Could I maintain the balance between excitement, vulnerability, and secrecy? The stakes had never been higher, and yet the allure of transformation was irresistible. The evening ended with me standing in front of the mirror one last time, adjusting my wig and smoothing my dress. My reflection showed someone confident, poised, and undeniably transformed. But my heart was still pounding with the suspense of the day's events. I had survived unexpected visitors, public exposure, and intense scrutiny, yet the future remained uncertain. The final, chilling thought echoed in my mind. I was no longer just experimenting. I had stepped into a world where thrill, fear, and transformation collided, where approval and expectation intertwined, and where every moment carried the potential for exposure. The next step would test me further, forcing me to confront my desires, fears, and the delicate balance of living between two identities. And as I caught a final glimpse of myself, poised and glamorous, I knew one thing for certain. My secret life had become far more complicated, intoxicating, and suspenseful than I had ever imagined, and there was no turning back. Even after Mrs. Callahan left, the apartment felt charged with tension. Every shadow, every reflection in the mirror, every soft creak of the floorboards seemed magnified. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress and wig one last time, feeling the weight of the persona I had fully embraced. My reflection smiled back, poised and confident, but inside, my heart was racing, my mind a whirlwind of fear, thrill, and uncertainty. MIA returned, her eyes sparkling, yet there was something in her expression I couldn't immediately place. "So, how is it?" she asked casually, but I could sense the curiosity lurking beneath her playful tone. I forced a calm smile. "Fine," I said softly, smoothing the fabric of the dress. My voice betrayed a flicker of tension, and I hoped she didn't notice. She circled me, inspecting me like a mix of admiration and mischief. "You really suit this," she said, her voice light but deliberate. The words sent a shiver down my spine. The thrill of approval was intoxicating, but the underlying tension reminded me that this delicate balance could collapse at any moment. Just as I relaxed slightly, the phone rang. My pulse spiked. It was a text from Mrs. Callahan. "You look perfect today. I hope you can stay like that next time I visit. I'll be seeing you soon." The simplicity of the message belied its weight. Approval, expectation, possibility. The subtle command sent my heart racing. Could I truly maintain this persona? Could I embrace it fully without losing myself or being discovered? The apartment felt suddenly smaller, every sound amplified. The heels on my feet clicked nervously as I paced. My mind raced with scenarios. What if MIA's mother came unannounced again? What if someone else saw me like this? Could I sustain this life, balancing thrill, fear, and expectation without faltering? I glanced at the mirror one last time, adjusting my wig and smoothing the dress. The reflection was flawless, poised, and undeniably feminine. Yet my own eyes betrayed the anxiety beneath the surface. The thrill of living in this persona was addictive, but the tension, the suspense of being discovered, exposed, or judged, was unbearable. As I heard MIA move about the apartment, I realized that nothing had changed in terms of expectation. My secret identity was now a living, breathing part of our daily life, one that carried approval and danger in equal measure. Every glance, every interaction, every word spoken had the potential to unravel the delicate illusion I had built. Then, a soft knock at the door froze me mid-step. My pulse skyrocketed. Not MIA. Not anyone I expected. I froze, heels clicking softly against the floor as I weighed my options. Who could it be? A neighbor? A delivery? Or someone who could expose me? The sound lingered, deliberate and slow. My hands trembled slightly as I smoothed the dress, adjusted the wig, and took a slow breath. Every instinct screamed at me to hide, to change, to retreat. But a part of me, a daring, reckless part, wanted to face it head-on, to see how far this persona could carry me. MIA called from the other room, her voice playful yet unaware of my panic. "Are you coming, or are you going to freeze in place like a statue?" My pulse thundered in my ears. I hesitated, torn between fear and exhilaration. And then, just as I reached the door handle, the knocking stopped. Silence filled the apartment, heavy and suffocating. My heart raced, every muscle tense, every breath shallow. Was it over? Or was this only the calm before the storm? I looked back at the mirror. The reflection stared back at me, perfect, poised, and terrifyingly real. In that moment, I realized that my secret life had changed everything. Approval, thrill, fear, and expectation were now intertwined in ways I couldn't untangle. And yet, part of me, the part that had grown addicted to the thrill, was ready to continue, to see how far I could go. The story ended not with resolution, but with uncertainty. Who had knocked? What would happen next? Could I maintain this double life, or would my secret be exposed? The tension, the thrill, and the stakes were higher than ever. And as I stood there, frozen in the soft glow of the room, I whispered to myself, "This is only the beginning.